Bradley Westfield sits in the conference room of his own company, watching a young man in an expensive suit review acquisition documents. That face. Bradley knows that face. 5 years ago, he rejected this kid's job application in the most humiliating way possible. Mocked his worn-out shoes. Laughed at his second-hand suit. Told him he'd never amount to anything. Now, that kid, Ethan Park, owns Bradley's company. And in 5 minutes, Bradley will learn whether he still has a job. Some humiliations echo for years. This one is about to roar. 5 years earlier, Bradley Westfield is 38 years old and riding high. He's the VP of Operations at Horizon Tech, a mid-sized software company in Austin, Texas. It's not a massive company, about 300 employees, $50 million in annual revenue, but it's respectable. Stable. Bradley likes stability. He grew up wealthy in Connecticut, attended Yale, and married into more money. His father owns a private equity firm. His brother-in-law sits on 3 corporate boards. Success, for Bradley, was never a question. It was an inheritance. At Horizon Tech, Bradley oversees hiring for the operations division. He's known for being selective, which is corporate speak for judgmental. He cares about pedigree, where you went to school, what your resume looks like, how you present yourself. First impressions are everything, he tells his HR team. If someone can't even dress appropriately for an interview, how can we trust them to represent our company? His colleagues find him pretentious but effective. He keeps the department running smoothly. He delivers results. So leadership tolerates his attitude. Bradley lives in a modern house in Tarrytown. He drives a BMW 7 Series. He golfs at the country club every Saturday. His son, Preston, attends an elite private school where tuition costs more than most people's salaries. He's comfortable, secure, untouchable, or so he thinks. His hiring manager, Carl, is more pragmatic. Carl grew up working class in Houston and believes talent comes from unexpected places. He frequently clashes with Bradley over candidate selection. "We need to look beyond the resume," Carl says during one meeting. "Some of the best employees I've ever worked with came from non-traditional backgrounds. And some of the worst hires come from lowering standards," Bradley counters. "We maintain excellence by maintaining standards." It's a philosophical divide. Carl believes in potential. Bradley believes in pedigree. That divide is about to collide with a 23-year-old kid named Ethan Park. Ethan Park applies for a junior operations analyst position. On paper, his resume is unconventional. He graduated from the University of Texas at Arlington, a solid school, but not prestigious. He worked 3 jobs during college: restaurant server, warehouse night shift, tutoring. No internships at major companies. No alumni connections. No impressive extracurriculars. But his cover letter is remarkable. It demonstrates deep understanding of operational efficiency, supply chain optimization, and data analytics. He's taught himself advanced Excel, SQL, and Python. He's built personal projects that show genuine innovation. Carl flags the application. "This kid is hungry. Smart. I want to bring him in." Bradley reviews the resume and frowns. UT Arlington. Working in a warehouse. "Carl, we have candidates from MIT and Stanford applying for this position. Those candidates want $80,000 starting salaries. This kid is asking for $52,000 and will probably outwork all of them. Or he'll be out of his depth and waste our time training him." Bradley drops the resume on the desk. "Pass." "Bradley, I really think." "Pass." But Carl pushes. He arranges a phone screening without Bradley's approval. Ethan impresses. Carl schedules an in-person interview. He knows Bradley will disapprove, but he's willing to take the risk for talent. The interview is scheduled for a Friday afternoon. Ethan arrives 15 minutes early. He's wearing a suit that's clearly secondhand, slightly too large, fabric worn at the elbows. His shoes are polished but old, the leather cracked near the toes. His portfolio is in a battered messenger bag. He looks nervous, hopeful, desperate to make a good impression. Carl greets him warmly and leads him to the conference room. Bradley, our VP, will join us in a moment. He likes to meet all final candidates. Ethan nods, clutching his portfolio. Bradley enters. He takes one look at Ethan and his expression sours immediately. "This is the candidate?" Bradley asks Carl, not even acknowledging Ethan. "Yes, this is Ethan Park." "Ethan, this is. I can introduce myself." Bradley sits down and looks at Ethan with thinly veiled disdain. "So, University of Texas at Arlington." "Yes, sir. I graduated last year with a 3.9 GPA in." "And you worked in a warehouse during school?" "Yes." "Night shifts. It helped me pay tuition and support my family." "Support your family? How noble." Bradley's tone drips with condescension. "Tell me, Ethan, why should we hire someone with your background when we have candidates from top-tier schools?" Ethan straightens. "Because I work harder than they do. I've had to fight for everything I've achieved. I've taught myself skills that most graduates pay $100,000 to learn. And I'll be more loyal and dedicated than someone who's had opportunities handed to them." The room goes quiet. Carl shifts uncomfortably. Bradley's face hardens. "That's quite a speech," Bradley says. "But let me be frank with you. This company has standards. We hire people who fit our culture, who represent our brand, who look the part." He gestures at Ethan's suit dismissively. "Does this look like the part?" Ethan's face flushes. "I'm sorry if my appearance—" "Your appearance tells me everything I need to know. If you can't afford proper interview attire, how are you going to manage a professional career? If you're showing up to the biggest opportunity of your life in a suit that looks like it came from a thrift store, what does that say about your judgment?" "Bradley," Carl tries to intervene. "No, Carl. He needs to hear this." Bradley leans forward. "Ethan, you seem like a nice kid. But you're out of your league here. This isn't a charity. We're not here to give people like you a chance because it makes us feel good. We're here to hire the best. And the best. They come from Stanford. They summer in Europe. They don't serve tables and work warehouse shifts." Ethan's hands are trembling now. His jaw is clenched. "People like me?" "People without the background, the connections, the polish. I'm sure you'll find something eventually. Maybe another warehouse job. Maybe a small company that doesn't mind this." Bradley waves his hand vaguely at Ethan. Carl stands. "Bradley, this is inappropriate." The interview is over. Bradley stands and walks to the door. Before leaving, he turns back. "Word of advice, kid. Stay in your lane. Not everyone is meant for corporate success. Some people are meant to be workers, not leaders. The sooner you accept that, the happier you'll be." He leaves. Ethan sits frozen. Carl looks mortified. "Ethan, I am so sorry. That was completely out of line. I'll speak to HR." "It's fine." Ethan's voice is hollow. He stands and gathers his things. "Thank you for the opportunity. Please don't let this discourage you. You're talented." "I said it's fine." Ethan walks out. His face is composed, but his eyes shine with barely contained humiliation and rage. Carl watches him go and feels sick. He goes to HR that afternoon. He files a complaint about Bradley's conduct. But Bradley has tenure and connections. The complaint gets buried. Ethan Park leaves Horizon Tech and disappears from their radar. Bradley never thinks about him again. Just another unqualified candidate who didn't make the cut. For Ethan, that interview becomes fuel. Not just anger, transformation. He goes home to the apartment he shares with his younger brother, who's still in high school. Their father passed away 3 years ago. Their mother works 2 jobs to keep them afloat. The suit Ethan wore? It was his father's. The only one he owned. Ethan sits in his room and makes a decision. He's not going to let people like Bradley define his ceiling. He takes a job at a startup. The pay is terrible, $38,000. But they give him equity. They let him build. They see his potential instead of his pedigree. He works insane hours. He teaches himself advanced programming. He studies business strategy. He networks relentlessly, despite his shyness. He reads every book on entrepreneurship he can find. The startup struggles initially, but Ethan's operational innovations keep them lean and efficient. When investors come calling, they notice the kid who built the infrastructure that makes everything work. After 2 years, the startup is acquired for $45 million. Ethan's equity is worth $400,000. It's more money than his family has seen in generations. He doesn't celebrate. He invests it. He co-founds his own company with 2 partners, a logistics optimization platform using AI. They call it Streamline Solutions. Ethan is the Chief Operating Officer. He's 25 years old. Streamline grows fast. Really fast. They solve genuine problems in supply chain management. Companies like Amazon and Walmart start using their platform. Venture capital firms take notice. By the time Ethan is 27, Streamline is valued at $200 million. He's personally worth $40 million. He wears better suits now. Custom-tailored. He lives in a nice condo. He's bought his mother a house. His brother is at UT Austin on a full ride that Ethan funded. But Ethan hasn't forgotten Bradley Westfield. He hasn't forgotten that interview. The mocking tone. The dismissal. The cruelty. He doesn't obsess over it. But when he hears through industry contacts that Horizon Tech is struggling, stagnant growth, aging technology, losing market share, something clicks. Streamline needs to expand into enterprise software. Horizon Tech has valuable existing contracts and infrastructure. The acquisition makes strategic sense. But for Ethan, it's also poetic justice. Streamline makes an offer, $60 million for Horizon Tech. It's a fair price for a company that's declining. Horizon's board considers their options. They're not thriving. The offer is generous. They accept. The announcement goes public. Streamline Solutions acquires Horizon Tech. The deal will close in 60 days, pending regulatory approval and transition planning. Bradley reads the announcement and feels nothing. He doesn't recognize Ethan's name. He doesn't make the connection. Why would he? It was one interview 5 years ago. One forgettable kid. He's more concerned about his own position. Acquisitions mean restructuring. His job might be at risk. He's right to be concerned. The acquisition closes on a Tuesday. Streamline's leadership team arrives at Horizon's Austin office to begin the transition. Ethan Park walks through the lobby in a Tom Ford suit, flanked by his CFO and legal counsel. Employees watch curiously. New ownership always brings anxiety. Bradley is called to the main conference room along with other senior leaders. He enters and sees the young CEO at the head of the table. Something about that face nags at him. Ethan looks up. Their eyes meet. Ethan's expression doesn't change, but there's something in his gaze, recognition and cold satisfaction. Bradley's stomach drops. No. It can't be. Ethan begins the meeting. Thank you all for joining us. I'm Ethan Park, COO of Streamline Solutions and now majority stakeholder of Horizon Tech. Over the next few weeks, we'll be evaluating operations and making strategic decisions about the organizational structure. Bradley's mind is racing. That name, that face, the warehouse kid, the thrift store suit. That was 5 years ago. How is this possible? After the meeting, Bradley lingers. He needs to know if his paranoia is justified. Ethan is packing up documents. They're alone in the conference room. Mr. Park, Bradley says, his voice carefully professional. I just wanted to introduce myself properly. Bradley Westfield, VP of Operations. Ethan looks up slowly. Oh, I know who you are, Bradley. Have we met before? 5 years ago. I interviewed for a junior analyst position. You told me I was out of my league. That I should stay in my lane. That some people are meant to be workers, not leaders. Ethan's voice is calm, almost pleasant. Does that ring a bell? Bradley's face goes pale. Mr. Park, if I said something inappropriate during that interview. If you mocked my clothes, my background, my family. You treated me like garbage because I didn't go to Yale and summer in the Hamptons. I apologize if I came across as... Save it. Ethan closes his laptop. I didn't buy this company to hear your apology. I bought it because it's a smart acquisition. But I won't pretend there isn't satisfaction in this moment. What are you going to do? Ethan considers this. What do you think I should do? Fire you in the same humiliating way you rejected me? Mock your credentials? Tell you you're out of your league? Bradley says nothing. He's terrified. Here's what's going to happen, Ethan continues. We're restructuring operations. Your position is redundant with our existing leadership. You're being offered a severance package, 6-month salary, benefits continuation, and a positive reference if you want it. You're firing me. I'm making you redundant. There's a difference. This is revenge. No. Revenge would be parading you around, making you beg, destroying your reputation. Ethan stands. This is just business. The same business you claimed to understand 5 years ago when you told me I didn't belong here. Bradley feels his career crumbling. I was wrong. What I said to you was wrong. Yes, it was. But you know what? It made me who I am. Your cruelty became my fuel. So in a way, I should thank you. Then keep me on. Give me a chance to prove. Why would I do that? Ethan asks. When I begged for a chance, you laughed at me. You judged me by my suit instead of my skills. You decided my worth based on where I came from instead of where I could go. Now I'm making a business decision based on operational efficiency. See how that works? Bradley has no response. Ethan walks to the door, then pauses. For what it's worth, Bradley, I hope you land on your feet. I genuinely do. Because I'm not you. I don't enjoy watching people suffer. But I also won't save someone who would have watched me drown. Ethan leaves. Bradley stands alone in the conference room, processing the magnitude of his mistake. Carl, the hiring manager who fought for Ethan 5 years ago, is kept on. Promoted, actually. Ethan remembers kindness as clearly as cruelty. Bradley's severance is processed. He cleans out his office. His colleagues whisper. Word spreads about who Ethan is and what Bradley did. Bradley's reputation takes a hit. The story becomes industry gossip. Did you hear about the Horizon VP who rejected the guy who ended up buying the company? Job offers dry up. His network, built on connections rather than respect, proves fragile. 6 months later, Bradley takes a position at a much smaller firm. Lower title. Smaller salary. He's humbled. Finally, here's the truth about judgment. You never know who you're talking to. That kid in the worn suit might be a future CEO. That server might be a future investor. That person you dismiss might be the person who decides your fate years later. Bradley made a classic mistake. He judged potential by packaging. He saw second-hand clothes and assumed second-rate talent. He confused privilege with competence. But here's the deeper lesson. Cruelty is a terrible investment. Bradley gained nothing from humiliating Ethan. He didn't save the company money. He didn't protect standards. He just fed his own ego. And 5 years later, that moment of cruelty cost him everything. Ethan's success isn't just a revenge story. It's a reminder that hunger beats heritage. That determination trumps pedigree. That people who fight for every opportunity often outwork those who inherit them. Bradley thought success was about maintaining gates, about keeping the wrong people out, about preserving some imaginary standard of excellence that correlated with wealth and connections. He was wrong. Excellence comes from unexpected places. Genius wears thrift store suits. Talent serves tables while studying code at 2 a.m. The Ethan Parks of the world don't need your permission to succeed. They'll build their own doors when you lock your gates. But they will remember how you treated them. And someday, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next year, but someday, the power dynamic shifts. The person you dismissed becomes the person in charge. What happens then depends entirely on what you did when you had power. Bradley learned this the hard way. He's not destroyed. Ethan gave him a soft landing. But his trajectory changed forever because he couldn't see past his own prejudices. So here's the question. When you meet someone who looks different, comes from somewhere unexpected, or doesn't fit your mental image of success, do you see potential or packaging? Because the kid in the cheap suit today might be signing your severance tomorrow. Treat people accordingly.